Finally, a new Texas Chainsaw Massacre film. It's gotta be better than the previous installments, right? Welcome, movie watchers. Thank you guys for stopping by my channel. Today we're going to talk about the new Netflix horror film, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. If this is the first time you are on my channel, I really do appreciate it. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below, click that bell notification, and like button to support the channel. Melody, her teenage sister Lila, and their friends Dante and Ruth head to the remote town of Harlow, Texas to start an idealistic new business venture, but their dream soon turns into a waking nightmare when they accidentally disrupt the home of Leatherface. I was really looking forward to a new Texas Chainsaw Massacre film. I've always appreciate an entry in some of the biggest horror franchises of all time. Child's Play, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th. I don't care. I just want to see these iconic horror movies. So I was really anticipating a new Texas Chainsaw Massacre film after the most recent one, 2017, Leatherface, which was a prequel to the original film. And this is a sequel to the original film. And we actually have Sally Hardesty, who was the sole survivor of the infamous 1973 massacre, who's now hell-bent on seeking revenge. And even the narrator of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre film is narrating the beginning of this movie. I don't want to say that this movie made me mad. I want to say this movie left me a little bit disappointed. This is one of the more bloodier Texas Chainsaw Massacre films. We'll get to that in a minute. The whole story of gathering the teenagers and young adults into this really abandoned town of Harlow, Texas was really weak. It was so thin to the point where I just could care less about these characters. We have our four main characters who head to this town to try to revamp it, bring it some life, and they bring in other social media influencers to create businesses in this small town. They have deeds to some of these buildings and they're just gonna create a whole new town. I just really could not buy into that. The whole draw of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre films is just, it's random. And the victims of Leatherface are just random people that he comes across, and he happens to come across these people. But bringing in these characters, these victims of Leatherface in this movie, is some of the weakest point of the film. I could care less about any of these characters and their situation and their drive to create this new town and revamp it and just give it life. I just could care less all about that. And the characters themselves are just not the most entertaining characters because they are really paper thin. About mid-half of the movie, a bus brings in more characters and they never share their names or who they are. They're just there snapping pictures and creating live videos and partying on a bus. And we see in a trailer that they have become victims of Leatherface. And so all those characters that just come in are just really pointless and just more victims for Leatherface. Now, the story of Leatherface I really did enjoy. When we are introduced to him in this house in Harlow, Texas, we see that he is a person that still feels like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Very quiet, keeps to himself, and misunderstood at times. What I love about some of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre films and even the remake from 2003 is that yes, he is a killer, but there is some part to this character that makes him feel broken and taken advantage of. We see him emotional, we see him distraught, we see him really angry. It's making this character, we see this really massive guy who we think all is like a monster, makes him feel like a person that is hurting inside. And he uses the chainsaw to kind of cope with that. But the original film did it fairly well a couple times when his family was belittling him. And here around, again, there's many times where we see him emotional about what is happening in the film. It's one of the bloodiest Texas Chainsaw Massacre films I have seen. There are so many times in here I just was like, wow, they went for that. And it's really utilizing the chainsaw and hammers and just a bunch of other things. But they get a little creative with some of their kills, and they are very gory, and some of the work and the effects that went into it are really impressive. And so I was really happy with how this film was absolutely bloody. The story surrounding some of the characters I just didn't find the most entertaining, and it's a short film, about an hour and 23 minutes long. And when we do get into Leatherface, it is very disturbing and suspenseful. I really liked once they brought in Leatherface and his story. And there is some homage to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre film. And like I said, we bring back Sally Hardesty, who was the sole survivor of the 1973 film. And it's kind of going the way that the Halloween reboot did, with Jamie Lee Curtis returning. The problem with this is that Jamie Lee Curtis was in a lot of the Halloween films, and she felt like a very important character in the Halloween franchise, and so we anticipated her return, and she was in that film a lot. And so in the trailer, we see that Sally Hardesty was returning. Yes, she was the sole survivor of that film, but it was only that film. And there was really no need to have her in this new film because, one, I didn't have like this strong connection to this character when you think of the whole Texas Chainsaw Massacre films. And when she's in this movie, she's not in it that much, and the movie's really short too, and so we don't get the most of her, and I just don't feel that connection to the character. I think the story was great in the beginning with her in the 1973 film, and that's just about it. We see that she has been prepping for this event for so long, and she hopes that Leatherface remembers her and that she has a chance to kill him. I just don't find that emotional connection to this character like I did for Jamie Lee Curtis after returning to the Halloween franchise. So I found it to be really pointless and really not adding much to the story. So overall, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I did enjoy it. I was a bit disappointed in the approach to some of the characters in here, but I did like a lot of the kills. It is a little heavy on social media, and there's a moment with "you're gonna get canceled, bro," and a really ridiculous end to the movie that made me just absolutely laugh of how bad it actually was. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's not the best one, but it's not the worst one either. It's just kind of right there in the middle. Very bloody, very menacing portrayal of Leatherface that also makes him kind of feel like a person, which he is, not just a monster. So before I give you my score for Texas Chainsaw Massacre, make sure to check out my channel. Here I do movie reviews, trailer reactions, ranking videos, tier lists, all that fun movie related content that you see on YouTube. I do it all here. So hit that subscribe button to get it all in one spot. And if you would like to see where this newest film ranks amongst all of the other 2022 releases I have seen this year, follow me on Letterboxd, and there you can find my list. I'm gonna go ahead and give Texas Chainsaw Massacre a B-. Thank you guys for checking my review for the new horror film on Netflix. Have you guys seen it by chance? What do you think about it? Let me know in the comment section down below, and stay tuned for a ranking video of all of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre films. My name is Just Watches Movies, and you guys stay classy, YouTube.